Welcome to the video, everyone. Before I talk about this, which I think is a positive, but I still think there's a lot to go, I'll share some of the positives that I've been through recently. So I've been representing a disabled person's requests, reasonable requests. Well, I haven't really been representing her. I've been giving her some advice just to keep on messaging the company involved. She has done that, and then I wrote up the N1 form which you send off to the courts, and the particulars of the claim I wrote up for her, and the letter before the claim I wrote up for her. So that was 3 letters, and I charged her £150 for that. I just simply said, continue what you're doing, write it in emails what you're requesting, let them know that they're failing in what they're doing. Even when they fail to communicate, raise that as an issue. So she's done all of that. I wrote the particulars of claim, and suddenly once I'd sent the letter before the claim to the company, they went and did everything that she wanted, all of it. So it's really important that you still keep on arguing and fighting for what you deserve. I think we've come to this point in society where we are just accepting poor behaviours from companies and public sector. And you'll notice all these signs saying we will not tolerate abusive behaviours towards our staff. Well, the reason why the staff are receiving abusive behaviours is because they're failing to do their job. But at the same time, people are failing to go along with their rules with regards to the complaints procedure. And I think it's important to go along with that, because then you show yourselves to be the more honourable person, especially when you go through the courts afterwards and get your compensation, which you should be getting. You should be taking it through the courts, because if you think about our past, regardless of how you feel about religion, our ancestors built a system, and they knew that there would be, because they read the Bible every day, they knew that this Satan's season, which is Revelation 20, they would have read that that was coming, and they've built a system that we can use even through that. And it's important to self-represent, because the lawyers are part of this system, this deceptive system. So when you self-represent, you can provide all the evidence that you want to the judges. I've seen a load of people in alternative media who are saying that they're getting sued, and they say that they're anti-establishment, but they are using lawyers to represent their case. And quite honestly, you can't get much more established establishment than using the lawyers. They've sort of frightened the people from using the courts. The everyday people used to use the courts themselves. And then they started to bring in these lawyers and qualifications and all of that, which has frightened the people away from using the courts. But the courts were for us. And our ancestors built that, and they built a common law system so that we could use that, so that we could build our case law between each other and build our cases and record those cases as our built defences. That's how we build our defence, with case law. And no one will go through the courts anymore. They're too frightened. Well, anyway, she's won. She did it all herself. I wrote 2 letters and filled in a form for her. She did the rest herself, and she's won. And not only has she won, she's absolutely feeling proud of herself. She's overcome a lot of self-esteem issues in all of this. So I'm really pleased for her, and hopefully it will encourage other people to fight cases and self-represent. There's nothing to be scared of. I've done it. I succeeded. A load of people have done it. I do see a lot of the alternative media who say they're anti-establishment use the establishment to represent their cases. Then they complain and say, well, my lawyer wouldn't present arguments. I'll write in the comments, well, of course they didn't. They're part of the establishment. I'll get piled on by being called a grifter or a shill. But then they'll change their story. Oh no, the judge wouldn't allow me. I don't know whether that's the case, but when they initially said that it was the lawyers who wouldn't do it, yeah, well, there's a reason behind that. In my experience, judges have not done that, but I don't know. I know that there's someone right now who I occasionally watch, and she says that she's going through a court case and she believes that the judge on her case is corrupt, and she keeps mentioning it on her channel. Yeah, I mean, she's not going to get the judge to like her. Not that you need to get them to like you. I certainly let the judges know that I had lost all respect for the legal system. But then they go and use lawyers? How can they trust the lawyers? I don't understand. Anyway, moving on, because it is good news that she's won. Does everyone have to die? This is about... I don't know this guy. I've seen his columns on here before. I don't always read them. He's talking about how the recent boom of doctors on alternative media was saying that people were supposed to die within 5 years. And I never liked that idea that they were saying that, because there was no evidence to prove that to be true. And so I felt that that was the wrong thing, wrong claims. I felt that that was on the lines of what the mainstream media was saying. They were saying, oh yeah, this illness, this disease is going to kill everyone within 5 years. Well, the alternative media did that with the vaccine. And I don't know whether the vaccine is killing people or what, but I'm not seeing people within my own circle or circles dying. I saw my sister die at the beginning of COVID, and she'd had cancer prior to COVID. I think she got it in 2017. She was diagnosed with cancer. And yes, she did take vaccines, and she did sort of get coerced into doing that to get healthcare. I think that was completely wrong. I think that the coercion that happened was absolutely incorrect. The claim that the vaccine worked was incorrect, because you can't tell. They didn't have enough time to tell. The claim that everyone was going to die within 5 years, that was incorrect, because there's no evidence to prove that. So I'm glad that the alternative media are starting to discuss this story, but I mean, they're still distancing themselves from saying the alternative doctors should never have made these claims. They're not saying that at all, and I don't support what they were saying, because within my own circles there were quite a few younger people who did get cancer, who I knew got cancer in their 40s. Now, this might have been to do with what they were eating and drinking, you know, a lot of Coca-Cola, pop, things like that. And I don't know about the foods, a lot of carbs. So this could have been more to do with their diet. I'm not sure. I know that some people have a lot of I eat a lot of snacks, but I also make a lot of my own. You know, I make flapjack and things like that. And so I'm not sure, some of these people were bought snacks and convenience food from the supermarkets and stuff. That could be part of the problem with their being diagnosed with cancer. In which case, you know, we're all susceptible to it. And I know that we are all susceptible to cancer because, you know, a couple of people in my circles did get cancer and did die of cancer either before or during COVID, or both diagnosed before, and they were in their 40s. So although there is all this stuff going on about turbo cancer, I think this has been going on for quite a while, and while these people are getting chemotherapy, I would imagine their health is massively deteriorating. So I know that my sister was very, very ill on the chemical therapy, and I call it chemical torture, and she did die a torturous slow death of poisoning. I think the other person who I know of, they did too. Also, the majority of their family members are begging them to stay on this chemical poison in order to save their life, and I think they do because they don't want to disappoint their family. They don't want to upset them, so they do. So this has been going on probably for a decade before COVID. Now, it might be that with everyone sort of changing their diet to these more convenience diets, that's also increasing. And with these injections, it does appear to be what everyone is saying, that your immune system is compromised for a period of time, I think 2 weeks after. So that's probably why people are getting the illnesses and diseases that they're getting. So although, yes, it could be the injections as well, there's a lot of things saying, oh yeah, they're magnetised and they've got, this sort of black goo running through them. No, they've got white plastic fibrous veins running through them. I don't know, because I'm not doing all of these bits. I'm not an embalmer. I have to take their words for it, but there is only a few saying that, and the majority are quiet. Now, I do know that there's a fear of speaking up when there's insults and, reputational issues at hand, such as being called, being wiped off qualifications and certifications and all of that. So I'm not against what they're saying, but I didn't appreciate that they were saying that people would be dead in a certain amount of time, because I don't think that you can make that claim, honestly. So it's good that this has started to be discussed now within the alternative media. I'm glad that they're starting to raise and question this. It's about time too. And I don't think that he's got particularly good comments for it. I think some of them are getting really upset by the questioning of the alternative media, but I think most are hopefully okay with it. Anyway, I just thought I'd talk about that because I've got a few more things which I've got to get done before I can come and do any more videos at the moment. At the moment, I'm making complaints to schools and to police forces, particularly about their language surrounding threats against those who, in their words, stir up racial hatred. Because I want to know what they mean by that, and I'll do an uploaded video once I've got through all that paperwork, because they're saying that I'm not allowed to make the complaint about their use of language, which is bizarre because we have laws now about use of language. They're saying that I can't make a complaint about it, so I've got to look into the laws they're using, the legislation they're writing about, to see where it stops them from answering my questions. And basically, I was very direct. I said that I believe that they are participating in genocide. Under Rwanda genocide, it was decided by the international criminal courts that mass rape by one ethnicity against another, and there's specifics to it, so I'll go over that in the video. But that does mean it does extend to genocide. And I also stated that their use of language, vague language, saying stirring up racial hatred, stops and prevents victims like myself not only from reporting crimes and turning to the police as people to investigate our crimes, but it also delays our and makes it near impossible for us to receive justice, because if we wait too long we can't apply for compensation. And that's how I won my case, because I said that the police were using language which was terrifying me out of reporting my crime. I do want to bust their asses on this, so I need to put a lot of effort into finding out how to take them through the courts. I will be self-representing, and because I'm self-representing and they'll have all their legal lawyers and what have you, then that will mean that I am going through an unfair trial, which means that I can then take the government to court for unfair trial. Now, I would only do it through the fast track, because basically what I'm looking to do is build up my case law. And I want to build up my case law because this is what our ancestors left us. They would have been reading the Bible. They would have known that at the end their descendants will go through Satan's season. So they've built up basically a bulletproof system of common law. So you can use your old cases to represent and bring about evidence for your own case. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just bringing loads and loads of cases. I don't need to make like masses of money. I just want to bring it through the fast track courts, which is about no more than £10,000 award. I just want to do that so that I can build up my defences, not just for myself but for my son and his children and their children's children. So we've got all these case laws built up around us so that we've got our defences. Because I've also said to him, you know, I don't want him, if conscription comes along, I don't want him going through doing that for a banker's war. So I'm building up our case law around that so that he can fight his way out of something like conscription for a banker's war. And that will include healthcare, why he is not willing to go and get some kind of medical evidence and things like that, which I'm also not going to do. And I'm just keen to build my own defences for my family and descendants. And those in the ancient times, they would have been reading the Bible, they would have been worried about Satan's season, and they would have been trying to think of the best system. And we got the common law, and I think we got the best system. I think it's absolutely unbeatable by Satan and evil and deception. I think they can manipulate it, but we can build on something that's very good, such as that. So that's what I'm doing, and I will get back to you, even if it's just briefly, to say how that's going, because it is very, very full on reading all the stuff. It's exhausting. I've had a couple of colds doing it because it's just so full on. Okay, I'll leave it there. Thanks, bye.